Hi, and welcome to NCBA's Coffee Break. I'm your host, Nathan Willner, and today we're talking about how AI is stepping up from assistant to collaborator in legal recovery operations. I'm excited to have Isaac Goldman as our guest today. He's the CEO of Vertican Technologies. And we're going to be discussing this new product called Ask Goldie, which is their new AI tool that's doing more than apparently just answering questions. It's executing tasks and streamlining workflows. So we're really excited to hear about that. Um, Isaac, tell us a little bit about your background, and we're going to dive right into this.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Nathan and NCBA for having me. Like you said, my name is Isaac Goldman. I'm the president and CEO here at Vertican Technologies. We're a software provider in the legal recovery space, as you probably know. And about 18 months ago, we started really diving into AI, LLMs, trying to understand how they could work for us, what benefits our customers and our clients might get from them, and how we can integrate them with our products so that we could deliver the most value to our end customers.
So let's kind of back up a little bit because AI is so new, and people are as excited about it as they are fearful. What inspired Vertican to create Ask Goldie, and like how does it really differ from the traditional AI tools that are already out there and people are using in the legal tech space?
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question. So Ask Goldie, first of all, is a nod to my dad. Anybody that knew my dad in the industry knew that his nickname was Goldie. And so when we were looking for a name, we said, you gotta come up with something. And somebody on my team said, hey, how about Ask Goldie? And so I think that the original concept was pretty I guess it was pretty simple, right? So we started looking at these LLMs and we realized that they were extraordinarily efficient at looking through large quantities of information. And I looked at the members of my team and even others throughout the industry when they were presented with a question about how to do something in their software or in the industry, it a lot of times required them to look in a lot of different places. And so for the folks at Vertican, we have a knowledge base where we keep all the questions that all of our customers ask us on a regular basis. We have a very rich and full help manual that's been developing over the last 25 or 30 years. We have tons of customer and client interactions, various emails and chats that we've had with our customers over the years about particular topics. And of course, we have the source code to all of our applications. And so as I started to learn more about these LLMs and how you can train them, we thought, gee, what if we gave it all of the actual source code, right? In a private, secure environment, right, of an actual private instance that we control and we own. What if we gave it the source code and asked it questions about Collection Master? And it was able to answer them. We're like, wow, this is really cool. What if we gave it like all of the help manuals and we had it read all of the help manuals? And then we said, what if we started to treat it like a person and we gave it instructions, right? Like, what if we treated it like a new hire and we said, hey, when somebody presents you with a question about this particular topic, this is how you should go about answering it. You should first look it up in the manual, then you should validate that information with entries that were in the knowledge base, and then you should go look at the source code to that particular part of the program and verify that the expected result is going to actually occur based upon the inputs that the person entered into the chat. And so in a really short period of time, we were able to create an agent that was really capable of answering really complex questions about our application. And we originally released it internally and let all of our client services folks and project managers and developers start interacting with this tool because it was just a leg up in terms of having to go through all of these hundreds of knowledge base articles or read the manual. It just did all that work for you very, very quickly and very, very effectively.
Yeah, that's really amazing because they, from everything I've read, especially within the legal profession, they say you can use AI, but you have to be transparent about it. But you also have to use them similar to that you would deal with, let's say, a law clerk or
Right.
an intern. In other words, you have to check
Right.
their work. And it sounds like you literally took that advice and kind of ran with it, where you treated this person as a new hire and
Yes.
as sort of like an intern, like what would you tell this, a new person coming into this field? So that's really exciting. So we're kind of talking about that shift from like, how does this work, like to doing things with this platform. So can you give me like a real world example of what this will look like in a law firm setting, because it's like extremely exciting. It's, you
Yeah.
basically have an employee, but you're not paying matching withholding, right?
Right, right, exactly. And no, and certainly no health insurance, right? Yeah. So Ask Goldie's obviously, like you said, it's very purpose built, right? It's purpose built around our software. It's purpose built around the industry. And as we started to interact with it, we realized it's very much a conversation, much like an intern or much like a new hire. And so we were kind of looking at these results, and we went to beta with a bunch of our customers and said that all of these people are asking Goldie how to do something. How do I post a payment? If I get and then they ask really complicated questions, like if I receive, notification of a direct payment, but I've already remitted last month and I have an overpayment on my costs, how could I remit that? And asking these really complex and deep questions that Goldie was able to explain to them the procedures of how to do that in the software. And then we were huddled around and said, what if Goldie could do things? Like what would it do as opposed to just asking us how to? And so one of the first things that we're on the cusp of releasing is you can ask Goldie to summarize an event or summarize a file. So our paperless file is goes back to the beginning of time. We have customers that have files that have been open since the late 80s and the early 90s. And it is often quite a task to figure out how can I go through all of these debits and credits, all of these charges, all of these notes, the various scrubs, the paperless file entries, and what if I could have all of that summarized? And so we can create a secure HTML file, load that data directly into Goldie, and come out with a one-page summary as fast as you can click a button. It's similar to going into ChatGPT and saying, "Hey, can you summarize Tolstoy's War and Peace for me?" It's really good at that, and so we can do that on a file-by-file basis, and so we can ask Goldie to create summaries. The next thing that was really interesting is we were watching our clients manage their media, and so media is obviously a huge part of the collection process, and we have a lot of our customers that are creating queues of activities that have to be performed on media, and so they're queuing them up and they're doing them at night. They're having BPOs work on them. They're trying to create different types of RPA to figure it out. But it's not just the operation; it's what happens to the rest of the workflow. And so we went into Goldie and we said, what if we gave it a bunch of documents? We had it look at the documents. The process in AI is called ragging them. And so we went through and said, hey, let's create these XY coordinates along these documents, understand what's in it, look through the data-driven process of looking at the filing collection master of which NPI or PII do we need to redact for these particular files, for these particular clients in these particular jurisdictions. Go into collection master, figure that out, find the social, find the driver's license number, find the address, find the balance, whatever. Go ahead and black it out, and then rename the file with the same file name underscore redacted or underscore red or whatever your particular naming convention is, and then tell Goldie what you want to do with the file. Upload it to an FTP site, save it on a particular network location, delete the original copy that's unredacted, etc. And so what's really cool is coming up with these tasks that we know are repetitive, super necessary, really important from a compliance perspective, but can be done by this new intern, as we said in the office, that you don't have to pay a workers' comp.
Yeah, yeah, no. And it also sounds like, it's those ideas that we all have. Like, wouldn't it be great if we could whatever? And we put it on the back burner, when we have enough staff and we have enough time, and we have put out these fires, and suddenly you have a device that can do that can really do the work on those types of projects. And really what you're describing is, it's moving away from using it like just like Google to look something up, which is sort of like a waste to use AI for that, to
Right.
really use it the right way. And I think that's so it's sort of like, everyone's testing it out, like, oh, let me see what this does. Oh, it's kind of cool. But unless it's like sort of built into your daily performance, you're not going to really, maximize its use. And I think that's what this Ask Goldie platform is doing for folks, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of people they like to have control over their own process, right? So we have a lot of customers that have spent a lot of years trying to figure out how do I be the best at my job, right? How do I be the best at moving these files through the process, maintaining compliance, maintaining oversight, making sure that I'm doing the appropriate scrubs and really servicing my clients to the best of my ability. And so they've developed a lot of policies and procedures that are unique to them. I think the brilliance of Ask Goldie is that we can use that independently without moving trade secrets from one organization to another and give them the opportunity to automate things in ways that are intelligent as opposed to just scripting, right? So we're all kind of used to this like if you're going to automate something, it's like if this, then this, right? Create like kind of like this chain of tasks. Whereas the LLM can actually look at something and make really intelligent decisions based upon the inputs that it's being presented, and then take the appropriate action without that having to be a hard-coded process. And so we're really excited about, asking Goldie to redact, or asking Goldie to file, asking Goldie to attach, asking Goldie to reorder media pages, asking Goldie to summarize, asking Goldie to post, asking Goldie to reconcile. We have a long list of different agents and tools that we are working on as we speak, to figure out how can we add the next level of efficiency to all of our customers.
So, I guess this is really is really exciting. And because, for instance, when you have to figure out where you file a lawsuit, what is it, which county, which jurisdiction, till now you put in the zip code, you had it like hard coded, it would pop in the field, but mistakes were made because you could have one zip code that has
Jurisdictions,
multiple
absolutely.
jurisdictions. But Goldie would know that, hey, it's not just enough to use the zip code. I'm going to look deeper, right? I mean,
Right.
these are the kinds of things you can have it do, right?
And would know before you do, right? Because one of the things that LLMs are, like I said, are extraordinary at is consuming large quantities of information very, very quickly, and then being able to understand it and apply it in real time. So all those emails that we get from NCBA that I think you might actually write that say, hey, these laws are changing, and hey, this just happened in New York, and hey, right, Goldie will have access to all of those things. And so it might actually know things about venues and where to file lawsuits and procedures before an attorney actually gets to reading those emails and staying up to date with their own state's bar association. It's really quite extraordinary what these agents can do, and if designed and implemented the right way, the benefits that they can offer their users.
Yeah, no, it sounds really exciting, and but now it gets to that question that I think everybody has, as it gets more embedded in the legal process, how do they trust you? Like, how do you build trust that the clients have, and that other professionals have to rely on? Because they're really relying on the lawyers, ethics and making sure they're compliant. How do you get that trust?
It's a really good question. I think slowly over time, I think is the actual, like, objectively correct answer. My dad started selling software in the late 70s, the CLLA, way before there was a NCBA or a NARCA. And used to tell me stories of lawyers coming up to him, and they'd never seen a printer before. They'd never seen a computer, right? An IBM System 23 was the size of the desk that my laptop is sitting on right now. And they thought it was some kind of like wizardry or like sorcery that he could press a button and automatically merge an address onto a form, and bzz, 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 and it would just pop out. And they'd be like, oh no, I have secretaries and I have typewriters, and my secretary doesn't make a mistake. And if we do make a mistake, we have whiteout. And there was all this kind of, they didn't understand what was happening. And like, there's their famous movies, or you talk about, oh, the files are in the computer. People would say, well, what happens if something happens to my data? And then we went to the cloud, and they're like, how am I ever going to access, what's mine? And is Amazon going to lose it in their cloud files? And so these objections I think, are totally normal. I think that they happen as technology changes throughout time. And I go back to my first answer, which is like, slowly and over a period of time, we're going to continue to release these features. We're going to continue to be, completely transparent, and show exactly, how the LLM is thinking. One of the things I didn't mention earlier is on our Ask Goldie how-to, the first iteration, we created a bibliography or a works cited page. So we make the LLM tell us exactly what it did, where it went, what information it referenced, in order to come up with the solution that it presented to you. And so we have that turned on for our customers that are using it, and we're turning it on internally to see how it's accomplishing these tasks in the make it do something world. And so we're going to continue to monitor it and look at it, and build it and trust it and build trust as we build trust with new employees.
It sounds amazing. I know we're getting close to the end of our cup of coffee, so to speak. And you know, the part that I find, just so clear is that, lawyers are risk averse. We worry a lot, worry all the time, but this is not one of those things that's a fad or going to go away, or like
Right.
it's going to be the firms that step up and use AI tools properly are are going to excel and be here, for the next decade. I think it's just part of business. So I don't think, especially in our practice area, you can't drag your feet, because you're gonna fall behind
Oh,
fast.
for sure not. And like I said, I think Goldie is like a purpose-built solution specifically for our tools and our industry. I expect my customers and just the general attorneys and folks in the industry to be using all sorts of different purpose-built tools built on all different types of LLMs for all different reasons, right? Ask Goldie, like I said, it's this purpose-built thing to operate, our software, but I expect dozens of these things to become mainstay tools in a lot of attorneys' offices, like you said, over the next decade, and probably a lot more quickly than that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you, Isaac, for coming on. Hoping you'll come back because obviously there's a lot to talk about here, and there's going to be new things coming out. And the one thing I want to tell you is that Goldie was your dad, but my mom's name is also Goldie, so
Oh, that's
I
great.
immediately loved this. I was like, ah, so we have more in common than just this practice area. So thank you again for coming on the show. And thank you for all the work that Vertican does and supporting NCBA. And we'll have you back soon. So thanks
Thank
so
you so
much.
much, Nathan. We really appreciate it.
All right, everyone, have a great day and tune in next time for another episode of NCBA's Coffee Break.